All right, welcome in. You're tuning into Retire Smart Florida, whether you're tuning in on the podcast, on the radio, or even at home through the TV. You are with the Dixon brothers as well. I'm Chris Dixon.
Sam Dixon on this side of the desk, Chris.
We got an action-packed time to talk about all things retirement for Floridians, right, Sam? Which is a different landscape than other parts of the country. Sam, what I wanted to talk about is really what I hear. A lot of people have questions about, and it's their pensions. Let's say they got a pension. If you got a pension, Look, listen up. If you got a pension or an FRS, okay, then you're going to want to listen to what we're talking about right now, because we're going to talk about how those are going to be taxed.
Absolutely.
Okay? So what do you think I'm even hitting at, Sam? How in the world do pensions and RMDs even come into the tax equation?
I think first off, you got to look at how the pension itself is taxed, Chris. Most people don't realize it's still taxed as income, like you're working, right?
Yeah, so highly taxed.
Income tax brackets is what it affects, right? So you got to think of it like that, because a lot of people think they'll be in a lower tax bracket when they retire.
Yeah.
But if you're pulling a pension, it's taxed as income, ordinary income, right?
You're not taxed lower, right? All that pension did is replace your income from employment, right, or a good portion of it. And so now, how in the world, so you got a pension, but most people, they have a pension, but they also have an IRA.
Retirement account.
Right,
exactly.
A retirement account,
Yep.
a 401k IRA. And what happens to the pension when you got an IRA or 401k is it just compounds what you just talked about. You're going to be taxed more.
Yeah, there might be a nice little tax surprise in there that most people aren't aware of if they have a pension.
Yeah.
Because they have this beautiful pension, and like you said, they have a retirement account sitting over here, Chris. And what I see is most people touch their pension quite a bit. Obviously, you're living on that. They'll touch their retirement account a little bit, but not too much. So it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Okay.
What little hidden surprise is there for them later in their 70s? You know what I'm talking about here?
Yeah, you got to be talking about the RMD, the required minimum distribution. Sam, what you just said happens quite a bit. Let me rephrase that. You're in retirement and you're not pulling from that 401k, the IRA, because you have a pension. Well, the government loves that as well, because they love for that 401k, the IRA, to continue to grow, because they know when you get in your early 70s, they're going to make you pull that money out. But what's the big deal? They make you pull it out for no reason, or what? What's the reason?
Well, they're after those taxes. So
they're going to tax you.
I think you're doing a perfect job of breaking down what the RMD actually is. It's anybody who has that retirement account is forced to pull money out, called required minimum distribution. Required is the first word in there, right? Forced to pull that money out and count it as, what'd you just say?
Ordinary income.
Oh, ordinary income. Just like, what else is taxed as ordinary income?
Shoot, almost everything. 401ks, IRAs, employment income.
And that big old pension.
That pension.
So now you got two income sources going on your tax return at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Do they actually have to spend the money, Chris?
No.
No, it still counts on your tax return though at the end of the year, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whether you need it or not.
So that adds up, and oftentimes, what I find at least, is that's a hidden little surprise that most retirees weren't necessarily aware of.
Right, because look, it's a double-edged sword, because we like the pension, it's an income stream.
Love pensions, are great.
Right, it's helping you fulfill some of those retirement goals.
Yeah.
Right, and that retirement lifestyle, and then you got the RMDs from the IRA and the 401k that you weren't necessarily planning on, and that's why they call that a ticking time bomb. Sam, who in their retirement plans for that ticking time bomb? Where's that at in their lifestyle, their retirement lifestyle? Where's that at in their goals? It could very well, and quite often does, derail all the goals and dreams you had about your retirement.
Absolutely see it come out of nowhere for a lot of people. It gets looked over quite a bit. So let's break that down. You got a pension that counts as income. You now have an RMD distribution that counts as income.
Okay, two of
And
them.
then you got one more. What's Social Security? Oh, how does that count, Chris?
Income.
Oh, income. So now we have three taxable income sources adding up on your tax return. Does that cause your taxes to go lower like you thought in retirement?
I'll tell you what, they're not going to go lower.
Oh, that's probably going to make them go higher.
Yeah.
Right? And most people go into retirement thinking, I'll be in this tax bracket. I'll be in this lower tax bracket. Well, if you don't factor in the income from the RMDs and Social Security, might be in a lot higher bracket than you thought.
Who does factor that in, though? I mean, I hardly ever see someone come into our offices in Tampa and Orlando and all the different offices that we have with an RMD plan.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't have that RMD plan, it can derail that beautiful pension that you have, that you're relying upon, causes that to be eroded more, causes your Social Security to be eroded, all because the RMD plan's not in place.
Could be some sneaky little tax in there you didn't know about, eating away at your retirement. Little, with inflation as well in there, you got all these factors adding up.
Yeah, you got to map this out. You got to map out and have an RMD strategy for those pensions.
Yeah.
Right, and for the 401ks. Otherwise, they just start to combust, really. And so we want to map this thing out. That's actually what our tax map does. Maps out those RMDs, looks at how much we're going to have to pay. More importantly, what it does, it looks at how's that going to affect our pensions and our Social Security. So, Sam, let's do this. If for all the listeners at home on this podcast or on the radio, if you yourself want a tax map, we're going to offer that to you. But you got to be one of the next 9 callers only, because we're going to get probably 150 calls from this, and I just can't do it for everybody. But if you do want your own tax map, it's going to calculate the RMDs for you. It's going to show you how that's going to potentially tax your pension, your Social Security, okay? But it's also going to give you some solutions. What can you do about it so that you're not derailing your retirement, so you can achieve those goals and everything that you want your retirement to be for you? Okay, you don't want that to be derailed just because you didn't have an RMD plan. So if you do want that, all you got to do is call this number right here at the bottom of the screen. When you dial that number, tell them, hey, I want my tax map. I want to lower my RMDs. I want to have my pension taxed less. Okay, you dial that number. We're going to run that for you complimentary and give that to you. On top of that, right now, if you want to, if you're like, you know what, Chris, I want something right now, then if you go to retirementtaxmap.com, that's retirementtaxmap.com, it's going to show you your instant tax bill. Okay, it's going to show you your RMDs. It's going to show you all those things instantly, so you have the tax bill right there in front of your face, and you can decide to make some decisions from that. So that's complimentary as well, Sam. So Sam, that's why I love the tax map specifically, and how it helps people out. Let's go ahead and get this thing mapped out.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite reports. I love going over it. I love breaking it down, because most people aren't aware. Hey, I got a pension. I'm set on income. They're maybe not even aware of the RMD that's going to affect the pension.
They're not even aware.
The tax bracket wise, right? Usually a bigger number than most people are used to seeing, and taxes they might possibly owe. A little eye-opening.
Right.
You know? I've heard that expression a lot from people.
Quite a bit. Look, and it's here's the thing. That report's going to show you what's going to happen for taxes now. But here's what it really shows you, which I think is more important. What's going to happen later when taxes rise,
absolutely.
right? The tax map's going to show you that and what you can do about that as well. So once again, dial that number if you want to, if you're listening at home, watching on TV or the radio, and we're going to get that to you complimentary.